Alright, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Wargame Red Dragon video. Not necessarily a replay cast this time around. I thought I was going to kind of do an introductory video again, but yet at the same time, a replay cast of what I'm going to be doing this game, and just sort of teaching some nubs at the same time. And no, I didn't mean that in a derogatory sense. It is what it is, and so I'm going to send out my CV here. Now I've chosen to go Echo here. You can actually just hit this button here, and then sort of type in your name or some kind of message, hit enter, and then press it there. I already did. Unfortunately, I put Otko instead of Sotko, but, you know, that'll do the job. Right now I'm using a Marine deck, and Marines mostly consist of shock troops. You can see the training down there, shock troop. And then that means that they lose morale a little bit slower than other troops. A lot of them come in groups of 15 as well, not all of them. And I have Corps Mariners as well for my special forces. And I'm going to make a bunch of those. I'm going to make those in groups of 2 and then push them into the town. And at the same time here, I'm going to grab 2 Phantoms. I think I might try to go ahead and napalm this and this right here and prevent them from getting in that town, at least in any reasonable manner, for a short time. Now, they could be dropping choppers in there as well, so you're definitely going to want to bring along at least 1 chaparral to the equation. Now, the special forces, the Corps Mariners, excuse me, come in groups of 15, and again, they are special forces, so that means they move at 30 kilometers an hour. Shock troops move at 25 kilometers an hour. Regular troops move, you probably guessed it, 20, and militia troops move at 15, which is abysmally slow in this game. And that's one reason why they're not all that great. So we already have a CV lever here, so we're just going to throw ours in hotel, screw it. And India might be a little bit closer, but I already had it on the left side when it started, so we'll just go ahead and do that. You always want to fast move wherever you go as well. You just want to click this button here, or you can use the colon button. I always find myself clicking instead of using the colon button, because the colon button is sort of at a, I don't know, I guess if you will, an awkward place for me, personally. I'm not really used to using that particular hotkey. Not many games I've ever played in the past use the semicolon hotkey. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't, depends. And so we are going to send out the old Phantoms. These are napalmers. You just want to right-click on your aircraft and then pretty much hit T where you want it to go. You can actually even right-click on units as long as you have vision of them. But if you don't have vision of a unit, you can just use a bomber. You can just hit T on the ground and it will bomb there. And you usually don't bomb units directly with napalm. You definitely want to, of course, soak as many troops in napalm as possible because it would kill them all. But for the most part, it's not really meant to be a direct bomber. And I lost one of the Phantoms, but that should be okay because as long as I can get these troops in here really effectively, then everything will be fine. So he has to actually just stop dead in his tracks. He is amphibious, so he's going to try and go around here, and he's just going to go across the water. But that's a good thing for me because that's going to allow me to get in the town just the same as him, instead of him getting in the town possibly a little bit faster. He's using, I think, BTRs there, and he was in there before I was. And so I'm going to split some of them up. Some of them are going to go this way, and then some of them are going to go the other bridge there. You want to get troops up as close as possible to the edge of a town, and so you're going to you to unload those, and you want them in the town blocks. You really need them in the town blocks. That's just a it's kind of obvious, but at the same time I really have to say that just because if you don't, they get instant gibbed comparatively. And so now I'm trying to really overwhelm the town here, but he has Spetsnaz GRU and Spetsnaz. Both of those are special forces. They both sort of do a slightly different role. The GRU is more of an anti-tank role, and recon role, obviously, as it has the recon symbol. And Spetsnaz are more of anti-infantry. And so we're pretty much out here, and we're just going to send the rest of them in there. And we're going to park my LVT fours up here. They have a 50 cal and they have two 50 cals and a machine gun on them, so they're extremely potent for being just machine gun APCs. There are certainly much more destructive APCs in the game. And so we're going to call up a bunch more units here, except I kind of want to call them up in groups of 2. I feel that that's a fairly good amount for mariners, marineers, what have you. And I'm all out of those because you don't get too many of them. So now I'm going to switch up to U.S. Marines. I find Gurkhas to be a little bit better, but I'm going to use the Marines to sort of cover the sides with LVTPs, and LVTPs are very, very good. They shoot 40mm frags and really just chew up infantry real bad. My allies made it to the right side here with tanks. He's covering this flank as you can get around there. And so my other ally is covering here, and he's doing a good job. See, he's covering this town right here because you can just simply drive down, fast drive right through that town if nobody covers that. Also covering this town, although he did lose Foxtrot, but I have Echo. They are at a +1 advantage. Neither of the team has Bravo or Golf. And so basically this game focuses around Echo and Foxtrot because it's easy to capture your +2 victory points on either side here. But to get the actual town, of course, is the goal, so that you can get the +1 or +2 by capturing both of them. So I'm going to move my troops up here. You want to get your troops up as far as you can so that as soon as they come across the bridge, their APCs and the like get just annihilated. And if they have to unload their infantry to get across the bridge, then that's even worse, because infantry take a ton of damage when they're not in a town, or I believe the woods lowers the damage of them as well, or they just don't get hit as much. One of the two, but either way, you definitely want your troops in cover. Otherwise, you'll notice they die pretty quick. And we're just going to napalm again here. And this isn't a very strategic napalming, I suppose, but I'm just going to napalm right above the bridge there, as he is bringing additional troops. Somebody's bringing additional troops. I'm not sure who exactly I'm fighting. Let's see, some Russian name and some Russian name. So yeah, there's people coming in, most likely. So why not? Let's just chuck some Phantom. And they don't have a lot of anti-air there, and even if you lose a Phantom, it's not the biggest deal in the world. The Phantom isn't really a particularly costly plane. And it's actually really effective for its cost. So if you lose it, you know, usually ended up doing a lot of good with it. And that's one thing you just use napalm for. You don't actually have to hit troops directly with the napalm. You can just simply block an area off. Driving over that would be outright suicide for almost any vehicle, except for maybe a heavy tank. Heavy tanks get stunned by the fire, and then they'll take, you know, a few points of damage, but sometimes, most of the time, they survive. It's not too big of a deal. But troop carriers, APCs, particularly wheeled vehicles, get instant stunned when they get inside the fire a little bit. And then they just burn away until they're gone. And so now my Marines here are arriving. These are amphibious, but only at 18 kilometers an hour, so it's extremely slow amphibious unit. So I'm not even going to send it across the water. But I will send my LVTPs across the water because they are pretty quick. Let's see, the LVT-4 is what the Corps Marineers come in, and it's actually pretty useful. 2 50 cal machine guns on them and 1 7.62, so that's quite a bit of suppression. You can take all that suppression and combine that, and that's actually kind of decent. But the OVTPs kind of take the cake because of the they have the 50 cal on it, and they have a 40mm frag that fires at 137 rounds a minute, which is pretty fast. The only thing faster than that is the Little Bird, and that's a helicopter. And they'll just fire a continuous stream of these little tiny, of course, obviously 40mm frags, and they just really chew up troops. It's just really, really effective. Marines themselves, not the greatest unit in the world. You would think they'd be a little bit better in groups of 15, being shock troops, but they're just not. I always have poor luck with Marines. They don't perform as well as you want them to. They're good, but they just don't perform as well as you would want them to. So I usually prefer Gurkhas in that. Gurkhas are the non-90 Gurkhas that have a poorer anti-tank rocket. is actually, I find, to be better. So you want to use the regular Gurkhas, not the Gurkhas 90. Only use the Gurkhas 90 if your deck seems to have a massive gap in anti-tank, because the Bren 4 machine gun is different on the non-90 Gurkhas, and it has 70% accuracy at 243 rounds a minute, which is pretty good in a town. You end up, and it's a CQC machine gun as well, so that means it'll fire within the block. If troops are on top of you, rather, inside the town in the same block. In case anybody didn't know that, CQC machine guns, you can see the CQC. It means that if there is a, if you're in that same block, you will actually fire your machine gun. And if you don't have a CQC machine gun, I'm not sure if I can find somebody without a CQC machine gun. Looks like he's using a lot of, pretty much all these units do, but a lot of the regular just... Okay, so this one's a static machine gun. This one's here is just static, can't be fired on the move as a stabilizer. And then also it's not CQC. So if you were to take some special forces and jump onto this same sector here, you would destroy those chasseurs, just because they don't actually fire their machine gun as well. Sure, I'd absolutely love to napalm, but he's going across the water. So I'm going to move some of my Corps Mariners. They move at 30 kilometers an hour, so they move very, very quickly. So I'll be able to get them into position here pretty quick. They move 5 faster than Marines, 10 faster than regular troops, double the speed of militia-style troops. So that's the one good thing Special Forces are really good at, but you have to watch out. Getting too many Special Forces in your deck is sometimes a little difficult to deal with, because you don't get a lot in the card, per card, and they're very, very expensive. So if you don't use them exactly right, then you don't have a lot of coverage of units. And so we're going to move down to this one too. We put a bunch of smoke here blocking all the vision. And I have an absolute abundance of funds right now, so I'm just going to slap down a hawk here, and I'm just sort of playing randomly here. I'm not really playing like too competitively, so I just keep, and I'm so busy talking here that I'm forgetting that I have a lot of funds, but that's okay because we're kind of winning anyway. They have a +1 right now, but I feel that we're going to have an advantage soon. I'm about to see the Echo and the like, and to have an abundance of funds in this game and still be winning is okay, but if you're losing and you have like 600 resources, 300 resources, maybe even a couple hundred, you're probably doing something wrong. So you definitely want to be spending your money. Don't take that one into, and another one of them left there. So the game is pretty much in the bag, but I just wanted to talk about how I actually go about playing the game here. And this is on this particular map, so another map could actually be a completely different way. This was a Marine deck, which is a sort of an unusual deck. A lot of people don't use Marine decks because they have poor tanks in them, and they're a little goofy in some of the units that are provided in them. But I felt like just sort of messing around, and I've been using it lately, and I've kind of actually have been having a lot of fun, especially with the advent of the Corps Mariners with the Netherlands. I find Corps Mariners to be just absolutely fantastic units. Definitely not the most overpowered unit in the game. Definitely not the worst, but it's just a solid unit for a solid price as well. 40. Oh, actually, I don't have any more in my tab, but they actually cost 40. 35 for the Mariner, and then only 5 for the LVT-4, which again has 250 cals and a 7.62. Even the LCAV, or the ACAV rather, for the U.S. Army has 2 7.62s and 150 cal. So it's amazing. But the only problem with the LVT-4 is that it runs out of fuel. Look at all my LVT-4s have no fuel in them. They're almost all out of fuel already. And I spy their CV there. It was already marked by an ally, but I certainly see that. Unfortunately, I have no seed for all these books here. But you know what? We can just kind of YOLO it, and we will destroy it, but we will almost certainly lose this Fighting Falcon. If I didn't lose this Fighting Falcon, then it should like become religious or something like that, like once it gets home, because it was saved, like it was saved by some kind of like higher power. And there goes my Fighting Falcon. Or no, here comes my Fighting Falcon's coming now. An insta-give by 4 books, but that was a given there. But I did take out their CV, so I'm gonna say worth it on that one. That's gonna have to make them buy a new one. That the time it takes it to get all the way over there is gonna take a while. And so let's try and burst some. Actually, we'll do it with my special forces here, because they are a little bit faster than shock troops. And I want to try and burst across that and get into the town line here. If I can get into the town line and then sort of just work my way over in the town, and I can get those books there. And you might be like, oh, why is he saying book? I do believe, I'm not sure, I'm not Russian, unfortunately. I'm not sure if you guys got that from my completely American accent, but I've heard it said many times as book. I've heard a lot of people say it's buck, or, you know, this, that, or the other thing, but I'm pretty sure it's book. But I guess if you're Russian yourself, and, you know, may have been in the Russian army or something, you can let me know how that's exactly pronounced, but I'm pretty sure it's book. And the reason I say that is because of the whole Ukraine crisis thing. When a book shot down the what was that, the MH7 or something like that? I can't remember, but it got shot down over Ukraine like an airliner, and they ended up finding out that it was a book that had shot it down the entire time. But it wasn't the Russians themselves, because, or I don't know, who knows? But yeah, that's the only reason I know. Otherwise, you pretty much never hear of them. And so right now, I think I might just go ahead and make a ton of troops and do like sort of a push across the way. Actually, we'll push into here. That's an even better idea, because right now, oops, I think that one spawned in the wrong. Oh, and he left. But that was GG, but I hope you guys enjoyed that. And it was a pretty short game, only 15 minutes long, you know, 2 other players did leave during the game, so it wasn't necessarily meant to be like the most impressive game that I will put on my page. But I wanted to kind of talk about the game and like how what I did during the process, and my thought process of it. But if you guys have any questions, or you want to see another one like that, like if you guys enjoy that sort of thing, every game that I record, I can record one of those maybe once or twice a week of me playing a game and saying what I was doing during that. I also stream a lot this game, so just in the description of the video below, I have a link to my Twitch, and you can see me on there just about every day, maybe every couple days, or every 2 to 3 days average I'm on there. So as long as you just follow me and you happen to be on Twitch, you will see me log in, and you can check out some live Wargame action. But as usual, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.